UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus DeRitter is happening tomorrow. Last second picks, 100% right edition. We're going to get all of our picks right no matter what. First fight of the night, Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. I'm going to pick Marcus Buchecha. Why? Because he looks like he's in shape. Martin Buday is your typical fat, plotty heavyweight. And Buchecha, he's got a grappling background. So if you got a grappling background, you're going to beat these fat tub of lards, these Pillsbury Doughboy heavyweights pretty easily. Buchecha's going to win. I'm not going to go too deep into it. Next fight, Mohamed Yahya versus Stephen Nguyen. Now, I looked at Mohamed Yahya's record, and it's dog shit. Stephen Nguyen, he's not good either, but I'm just going to pick Stephen Nguyen. Now, normally I pick the Muslim fighter in these situations, but Yahya, he's not from the Caucasus. I think he's genuinely from the UAE. Now, those types of Muslim guys, they're not all that, okay? Some Muslims are good and some they just suck at fighting. Like the guy that Michael Johnson knocked out from Morocco. I forget his name. Sucks at fighting. You know? One of those Hakparas brothers from Afghanistan that got knocked out by Ricky Simone. They suck at fighting. I think it's going to be a situation like this. Stephen Nguyen, American Vietnamese guy, I'm assuming, with that last name, Nguyen. That's a Vietnamese name. I think he's going to be coming from a more tougher background, so I'm going to pick Stephen Nguyen just because of that. A lot of these picks where I don't really know the fighters all that well, like I'll be honest, I don't know much about Muhammad Yahya, but I'm going to go based on nationality and ethnicity. And American background, in this case, I'm going to pick the American over this particular Muslim. I wouldn't pick it over if he was from Dagestan or Chechnya. Okay? So for this guy, we're going with Stephen Nguyen. Next fight, Ibo Aslan, the last Ottoman, the last Turk, versus Billy Elikana. Billy Elikana last fight, it was Guskov. I remember I watched that fight, and he looked very undersized. But it was a short notice fight. And he did actually do pretty good in the first round. Ibo Aslan, he knocked out that one chinny Brazilian. His last name began with a C, but I forget it. And then he lost to Ian Kutelaba. If you're losing to Ian Kutelaba, what are you doing, man? He didn't have any good takedown defense, and Billy Elikana showed decent grappling against a really good grappler like Guskov. So I'm going to be picking Billy Elikana. Now, I could see Ibo Aslan winning this fight. It could happen. We'll see how big Elikana looks tomorrow. But I'm going with Elikana. Next fight, women's fight, Ribas versus Richie. They're both from Brazil. Yeah, they're both from Brazil. I'm just going to go with... let me see. Yeah, I'm going to go with Ribas. You got to look at the heights. Both coming off of losses, better reach, better height. When you don't know who to pick from these women fights, pick the woman that's taller, the longer reach. We're going with Ribas. Move on to the next one. Davy Grant versus Damon Blackshear. Davy Grant versus Lamont Blackshear. There's recently been a thing on Twitter where who would win in a fight? 100 Brits versus 100 Americans. And I can undoubtedly say that 100 Americans would win in a fight. We're bigger on average. We have more mass. Because our food and portion sizes are very, very large. And we have a lot of corn syrup and extra sugar added. Now, granted, Britain also has, large portion sizes, and there's a lot of fat Brits. A lot of big, chunky, porky piggies over in the UK, like MMA Guru. So I understand that. But you also have to add in the melanin points. Now, for those who are unaware, the melanin points, when it's a white fighter versus a black fighter, I give a few extra points to the black fighter just because of genetics, because of background, because of the slick, stylistic nature of exaggerated black teens, whatever you want to call it, the swag. So I'm going to go with Damon Blackshear, especially with his last name, Blackshear. That is a cool name. Whereas Davy Grant, ugh. He's also got the height advantage, the reach advantage. I don't know why the weights are all messed up. That's not right. A better record as well, slightly better record. He's got an extra win. We're going with Damon Blackshear. He's going to beat Davy Grant. Move on to the next one. Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal. Now, Carlos Leal, I remember his first fight. It was against that Fakhretdinov guy, the guy that choked out Kevin Lee. He was robbed in that fight, and his back was just covered in acne. It was like the surface of the moon. It was just craters. So he's on some horse steroids or something. Similar heights, slightly longer reach. Salikov, though, he does those big kicks, head kicks. But I think I want to go with Leal. I think I'm going to go with Leal. He looked good in his last fight. He did. And Muslim Salikov, he's pretty old, I think. And he's not super active. Now, we learned from the last few cards, just because you're old, yeah, he's 41, but just because you're old doesn't mean shit. A lot of these unks are winning. And so I'm not going to be picking based on age anymore. But 41, that is up there. The difference between 37 and 38 versus 40, 41, 42, it is a big difference. Whereas Carlos Leal, how old is he? 1994, so he's young. 31, yeah, he's young. I'm going to pick Carlos Leal. Again, if I get this one wrong based on age, then I guess I can never pick based on age ever again. I picked Daniel Zellhuber over Michael Johnson. I also picked Kevin Holland over D-Rod. And who else? There's another Unk that won last week as well. Can't remember who the other Unk was. But we're going to go with Carlos Leal. We move on to the next one. Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. This is going to be tricky. They're both off of a loss. Brutal loss for Bryce Mitchell. Said, I forgot his last fight. Who was his last fight? Said Nurmagomedov. Let's go look. We're going to pick the American over the Muslim from Dagestan. He is Dagestani. Oh, that's right. He lost to Oliveira. I feel like I want to pick Bryce Mitchell, but then if he loses, it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, oh, of course he should have picked Nurmagomedov. This is a make or break fight for Bryce Mitchell. This is in bantamweight, so he's no longer fighting featherweight. But I am going to pick Bryce Mitchell. An Arkansas corn-fed boy versus a Dagestani Said Nurmagomedov. We're going with Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell, don't let me down. Do not let me down. Main card, exciting fight. I'm excited for this fight. Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. Guskov, he's got the orc phenotype. And we're going to go with the orc. 10 losses. Look like absolute shit in the Reyes fight. Dog shit. You go in, charge in with your chin out in the air, and get knocked out by Reyes. You put Reyes back in the picture. And he wasn't even super active before that. I know he had good fights with Ankalaev, with Ryan Spann and stuff, but I'm going to go with Guskov. He's the up and comer. Same height, similar reach. Guskov's a good grappler, but so is Krylov. Krylov's a good grappler as well. We're going to go with the Orc. Next fight, Asu Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. Now, Almabayev was the guy that lost to Manel Cap, if I remember. Yeah, it was. It was, right? He lost to Manel Cap. Yeah. Yeah. That was the fight. I remember that one. I think he's all right. He's got a lot more experience. Look at the records. Peru. We don't get many Peruvian fighters. I'm going to go with Almabayev. But the height difference, that is a little scary. Might be exaggerated. You can never trust these stats with complete certainty. But I'm going to go with Almabayev. Kazakh, just because you lose to Manel Cap doesn't mean you're bad. Plus, he got eye poked in that fight. I remember Manel Cap is a dirty fighter, man. We're going with Almabayev. Next fight, Shar Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barriault. This is an easy layup for Shar Magomedov. Easy layup. Marc-Andre Barriault, 9 losses. He's on 1 win, but I remember he got brutally knocked out by Joe Pyfer. And granted, Joe Pyfer's got good power, but I don't think Joe Pyfer's actually good, honestly. He just has power. He has no technique. Joe Pyfer's going to get fraud checked again after he got fraud checked by Hermanson. And Magomedov losing to Michael Page, not the end of the world. We're going to go with Magomedov. Easy layup for Magomedov. Co-main event, Petr Yan versus Marcus McGee. I saw there were some people picking Marcus McGee. I am not going to be one of those people. I'm going to be picking Petr Yan. Petr Yan's an elite level fighter. Marcus McGee hasn't fought anyone close to Petr Yan's level. And Petr Yan, I think he's going to come with a vengeance. This is a must-win fight for him. If he wins this fight, they're going to give him the next title shot after Merab dismantles Corey Sandhagen. They're going to give it to him. They're not going to give it to Usman or Magomedov. I mean, not Usman, Umar. They're going to give it to Yan if he wins this fight. So he's going to go there very motivated. Marcus McGee, I think he's out of his depth. He shouldn't have taken this fight, and he's going to get bulldozed and bludgeoned by this Russian assassin. Main event, Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder. He's a favorite, isn't he? Yeah, he is. 162 favorite. That's crazy. I'm going with Reinier de Ridder. And I already made a video about this. Go watch that video if you want, like, more in-depth stuff. But I think Reinier de Ridder's good. He's big. He's 6'4", and he's thick. So I don't know how he makes weight, because if you're 6'4" in middleweight, I would think you'd have to be super skinny, like Adesanya. But the guy is thick. His torso, his mid-size core is just very big. And we saw his frame up against Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel, he made Bo Nickel look small. And Robert Whittaker, he's not that good anymore. He does his lead hook followed by the head kick. It doesn't work. It worked against Brunson the last time, and that was it. That Brunson fight was a long time ago. That was years ago. Reinier de Ridder, he has a sloppy war with Meerschaert. Easy win over Kevin Holland, who doesn't belong in middleweight, but oh well. And then he fraud checks Bo Nickel. These are not impressive wins on paper, but he's had a fast come up. I think he's going to beat Robert Whittaker. I don't think this is going to be a y'all must have forgot performance. I think Robert Whittaker is going to lose this fight. And so I am picking Reinier de Ridder to win either by ground and pound or by submission. Is this a 5-round fight, though? I don't know. If it's a 5-round fight, maybe Whittaker might last, but I'm still going to pick Reiner de Ritter. Look at that reach advantage. My God. 78 inches versus 73. Reiner de Ritter's going to win. And don't say I didn't tell you so, okay? Don't say I didn't tell you so. He's going to win. Easy predictions. We're going to get all these picks right. We never get any of our picks wrong. So, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. I'll be streaming the main card. Peace.